the ministers concerned to ensure that they are able to transport their goods by road, which makes them competitive because it's faster, cheaper, and easier. The ministry participated in the World Expo in Osaka, Japan, to enhance Ghana's market access and investment opportunities. I'm happy to say that after our participation in Osaka, the Japanese State Minister for Foreign Affairs led a 50-member investment delegation to Ghana. Direct effect of what we did in Osaka, and I think this is commendable. The investor interest shown is in automotive components, cocoa, share and cashew sectors, and these are the areas we actually need investment. And so I think that our visit to Japan, Osaka, has been very positive. Ghana also received an award for the best theme, a country of possibility and empowerment, exactly what we are and exactly what we do here. Now to GEPA. The Ghana Export Promotion Authority supported our growers by supplying 211,606 coconut seedlings, adding close to 3,306 acres of coconut production, 2 million pineapple suckers, adding 1,512 tons and 84 acres of available pineapple land for production to pineapple production, and 5.4 tons of planting gel to strengthen coconut cultivation. This enhanced productivity and drive export growth. GEPA supported 91 SMEs and 7 horticultural associations at major international fairs, including Fruit Logistica, just to mention a few. The most important point here is the fact that they were able to secure 350 million orders in exports. That is highly commendable. Additionally, 150 SMEs in handicraft and manufacturing participated in global buyer-seller platforms such as the Ambenti, Salon di Chocolate, just to mention a few, and then here too we generated about $250 million in exports. In 2025, for the first time in Ghana's export history, mangoes were transported by trucks to Morocco. We had about 26 metric tons mango being transported by road. The trucks actually came all the way from Morocco to pick the mangoes back. It means that we are doing well in this area as well. Then in line with the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Protocol on Trade in Services, GEPA for the first time again advanced Ghana's digital export potential in the international market by showcasing ICT-enabled services at GITEX Global in Dubai. The ministry continues to support and strengthen the presence of goods and services of Ghanaian origin through export trade houses in strategic markets, especially in Africa. Additional trade houses in South Africa, in UK, and in US are being developed and are at various stages of completion. The ministry and its agencies coordinated the exhibition segment of the Presidential Investment Forum in China, Singapore, and United States, where several Ghanaian exporting companies exhibited their products and services to attract investment and export Ghana and their Ghanaian exports. We have also seen the dividends. We've had several delegations. The last one was just last week, an 80-member delegation also from China for investment opportunities. The beauty is the fact that because of the extensive meetings we had with them in China at the trade forum, they came here prepared, knowing exactly what they wanted. And so some of them have already acquired lands, some of them are enjoying partnerships, some of them are doing contracts with local people for investment in this country. And to ensure also that fish exports met the required EU standards, the Ghana Standard Authority, the Component Authority for Fish, the Competent Authority for Fish Export to the EU, inspected and certified 713 export consignments, 218 fishing vessels and establishments. To expand intra-African trade, the Ghana Free Zones Authority registered 27 enterprises. These enterprises were registered specifically for the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. It's different from the numbers that they registered for investment in the Free Zones Enclave. export earning of free zones companies for the year 2025 amounted to almost $1 million. Sorry, $1 billion, $973.43 million. This is way beyond their effort in 2024. The value of investment into the free zones was about $165.29 million. The number of jobs created within the free zones in 2025 was about 1,600. Market access and opportunity. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, following the 10% and subsequently the 15% tariff imposition by the United States, the ministry pursued technical and political discussion with the US counterparts, both in Ghana and US, with a focus on ensuring that Ghana improves its market access status with the United States of America. It will be recalled that AGWA was ending in 2025 September, which it did, which meant that our ability to export duty-free, quota-free was no more available. And then we were slapped with 10 and then later 15% levy. And so this is what we did. Political and diplomatic discussion with the US ambassador in Ghana. After that, there was a technical discussion between my good self and my team and the commercial section of the US Embassy. ECOWAS Trade Ministers meeting to discuss and take a common position on the imposition of tariffs was done, which I participated. Publication of press releases to educate the general public to put calmness within the system because the exporters became agitated that was going to affect their businesses negatively. We had to assure them that the government will make all efforts to ensure that their businesses don't suffer, and exactly what we did. There was a forum with exporters to provide assurance on government commitment to maintaining market access opportunity to the USA, which I led. And then I've already stated that the ministry played a leading role in this milestone, the AGWA extension. We want to first thank His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana. Now his name has become a household name in the world. Anywhere you go and you represent His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, doors are opened. People listen to you and we get results. Let's give it out for him. So the political and diplomatic discussion with the US Embassy, the technical discussion, then my team and I put together a technical paper with recommendation for extensive engagement with key stakeholders, including Cabinet. This discussion, in collaboration with other AGWA-eligible countries, led to the 3-year African Growth and Opportunity Act extension by the House of Representatives. We hope that the processes will continue for AGWA to start in earnest. Then we have China Early Harvest Agreement. We have to diversify. We must diversify our markets. And so, to boost and diversify Ghana's exports to the Chinese market, the ministry had a series of discussions on an early harvest agreement with the People's Republic of China in fulfillment of its zero tariff offer. It will be recalled that the president had a state visit in China where we deepened the discussion on the 0% tariff. So thereafter, there was political and diplomatic discussion with the Chinese embassy in Ghana, technical discussion between the ministry and the commercial section of the Chinese embassy in Ghana and their Ministry of Commerce in China, and then preparation of technical papers with recommendation for extensive engagement with key stakeholders, including Cabinet. One of the biggest bane of industry, biggest bane of trade, biggest bane of agribusiness is finance. Access to finance has always been a challenge. Cost of borrowing in Ghana has been high, and access to long-term and competitive finance has been a major hurdle in terms of this space. And so this issue is being addressed with the support of one of our agencies, the Ghana Exim Bank. In 2025, the Ghana Exim Bank disbursed a total of $304 million in line with stringent credit creation policy to strengthen credit quality. And my emphasis, stringent credit creation policy. This is not money for the boys or money for the girls. You must satisfy the requirement. You must show that the credit you are taking is going to inure to the benefit of the economy. You must show ability to repay the loan, because this is not money for free. This is money to help your business and to help the economy and to help the macroeconomics in the country, and also to make sure that we benefit from import substitution, and then our exports actually improves. And so they also went to work in respect of repayment and received 107 million from loans that has been given and that were not paid. Recovery efforts on legacy loans are ongoing. They've initiated legal proceedings on several of the cases, while others have been referred to appropriate security agencies for further action. There are loans that we don't know how they were disbursed, and then we have referred it to the appropriate quarters for same to be dealt with expeditiously. To further enhance its capacity for project financing, the Ghana Exim Bank is exploring opportunities to raise up to $200 million from the capital market. The proceeds will be used to complete partially executed projects and protect investment already made, helping to mitigate potential losses. What happens is that sometimes the Exim Bank will agree to give you X amount of money for an investment. They will disburse half and leave the other half. It does not yield any dividends for the investor, but the investor will be called upon to pay interest. And so what we have decided to do is to raise money to pay off the amount we agreed with the investors previously, so that they can have the full benefit of the investment, and then we will be able to protect the investment that has been made with the taxpayers' money. And so we are high on that one. This is not political. We want to make sure that the Ghana economy does well. It doesn't matter how, which political affiliation you are in. So long as you've taken part of Exim's money for good cause, we will add up to make sure that you take a benefit, like the watermelon factory in Poalugo. Rapid Industrialization for Job Initiative. The initiative aims to accelerate industrial growth by promoting value addition for both domestic consumption and export. It focuses on establishing strategic industries and reviving defunct ones to create jobs, stimulate economic growth, and enhance Ghana's competitive edge on the global market. We've completed drafting the following policies. Investment thrives on policies. Anytime an investor comes to invest in an area, the first question the investor will ask is your policy. So for example, if there is an investor in the textiles and garment space, the investor wants to see your policy. And so policy will drive the investment. I'm excited to tell you that we have draft policies for textiles and garments, for pharmaceutical manufacturing, for special economic zones, for automotive component manufacturing, and we're also reviewing the Ghana Automotive Development Policy to include EVs, 2- and 3-wheelers, so like bicycles and tricycles. This is because the Ghana Automotive Development Policy does not include EVs, and we know that EVs is the new child on the block, and so we need a policy to govern it. It is good, environmentally friendly, and it is cost effective, so we need a policy on that one to drive the EV zone. Automotive component manufacturing, there is none in West Africa. And so Ghana wants to have a policy to enable us to draw people in that investment space, specialized economic zone, pharmaceutical and garment and textiles. For pharmaceuticals manufacturing, Ghana wants to be a hub of pharmaceutical manufacturing for West Africa. And so we need that policy to drive that investment. Same for textiles and garment. And government is even leading the creation of textiles and garment. I'll get there and discuss a bit more. The Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, led by myself, was able to sign an MOU with Shenzhen New Jeco of China for the establishment of an EV assembly plant. They are in Ghana, They've acquired their land. Development far advanced for the factory to start. There's also ongoing discussion with Sherry International to establish an EV assembly plant. This is also as a result of our visit to China and the things we're able to do with some of the companies. Even though I don't have it here, it is the policy of the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, not only to look for new investment, but also to encourage existing ones to expand. And so when the president asked me to represent him in China on the China-African Summit, I took advantage of that time to visit existing companies in China and to encourage them to upskill. I'm happy to announce that as a result of that, the Sunda Company Limited has added one line to their pad manufacturing. It was opened by the Vice President and myself recently. We did the same for Keda. They are coming up with a glass factory, and they're also coming up with lines for their sanitary wares. And so this is what we do at the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry to attract investment into the space. Now, to agribusiness and what we've done in the space. We have established 7 mini processing plants. They are at various stages of completion, but we have procured all the 7 machines for the establishment of these plants. The location and value chains are as follows. At Bole in the Savannah, we have machines for granite production. At Hacho, for the national service, we have poultry. In Ajumako, Besiansi, in the central region, we have for maize. In Bodi, we have for plantain. In Sefuyo also, we have for cocoa husk and plantain husk. We are not only interested in value addition, we are also interested in value extension. And we do that with the things that we put there. In Buno East, we have cashew. And in Jomo in Ahafo, we have ginger. We try to spread ourselves across fairly. The ministry is in the process of recruiting transactional advisors to assess the operations of the fund's SOEs, determine their present value, propose the best operational options that would make the companies commercially viable. And these include the Akosombo Industrial Company, that is ATL, Walter Star Company Limited, that's Japan Textiles, Zuarugu Meat Factory, Pualugu Tomato Factory, Walugu Livestock Station, and other strategic SOEs and interests. In respect of Commander Sugar Factory, which is very top on our agenda for the year, I've put together an interim management committee to conduct a technical assessment of the Commander Sugar Development Company assets for revitalization. The committee has submitted their first report. Their next and final report is due on Monday. I've also, in respect of Commander Sugar Factory, written to the Attorney General. Usually, the Attorney General has to guide the process to enable us to pick a transactional advisor to determine the best operational options to operationalize Commander Sugar Factory and the others. Apart from finance, which is a big issue for industry, the next thing is raw materials. It will interest you to note that a lot of companies that run factories are operating 30% of their installed capacity. And some of them, the reason is not even finance. They have finance, they have market, but they don't have raw materials. And so the issue of raw material is very key in Ghana industrialization process. And in order to do that, the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry has come up with a project called Feed the Industry Program. The objective is to enhance competitiveness and sustainability of Ghana's industry. In order to do this, we have secured a lot of lands, some in the eastern region, some in the central region, and one in fact, 2 places in the Buno East region. And the GIPC is also working on land banks to help us to produce raw materials, agro, for our industry. In respect of the raw materials, we have two components. We have the agro and then non-agro. The non-agro include the metals, the rubber, and then the rubber is even agro. And then the non-agro includes the metals and then the things that we don't grow. And so last year, the ministry was able to secure a restriction of the export of non-ferrous scrap materials to ensure availability of raw materials for domestic manufacturing, because it's very difficult to import these non-ferrous scrap whilst we export at a cheaper price. And so we have agreed. We did stakeholder consultation, and we agreed that aggregators should sell to local manufacturers so that we get raw materials to feed our industry. We've also prohibited the export of raw natural rubber to ensure sustainable raw rubber supply to domestic processors. Any issues that come around it, I'm sure, will be resolved. Now, agribusiness, our new addition. People ask me, isn't it burdensome to have trade, agribusiness, and industry? The answer is no. It has rather lessened the burden, because agribusiness has come to make industry and trade easier. Agribusiness has come to achieve a lot of things. It has come to make sure that our value addition is mentioned for attention. And so this helps us with industry. It helps us to solve the problems of industry, like the creation of raw materials. Now, government is intentional about the provision of raw materials, like I indicated earlier, with the Feed the Industry project. This all comes under the agribusiness subsector. And so we think that agribusiness has come to help industry. It has come to promote industry. It has come to help in value addition. It has come for attention and support. The objective of agribusiness, as I've stated earlier, is to focus on the establishment and reviving of agro-processing industries. We've discussed developing agroecological zones, promoting value addition and extension, and integrating smallholder farmers into commercial value chain. One is going to happen at the Citrus Center in Central Region, where young people are coming together under an anchor developer to produce pineapple to feed the citrus company, and then a confit, commercial contract farming. So this is a typical example of how they feed the industry, help a particular industry to thrive, to operate under the 24-hour economy. Our achievements so far: we have been able to do a national agribusiness dialogue. As if fate would have it, I was the first minister for tourism, culture, and creative arts, and I was able to do the creative arts bill. And I think that is an opportunity for me to bring that experience to bear at the new agribusiness subsector to have trade, agribusiness, and industry. I have already done the National Agribusiness Dialogue. Happy to tell you that we have also drafted the National Agribusiness Policy through extensive stakeholder consultation around the regions. The ministry has begun the establishment of 7 agro-processing facilities. As I indicated earlier, I brought it here so that if you are picking this presentation and you are looking at agribusiness subsector, you know what has been done under agribusiness, even though I have mentioned it at the industry subsector. This is having Professor Kumado in mind, where your essay has to be holistic. And then 31 technology solution centers have been handed over to Gratis Foundation under the Rural Enterprises Program, and pioneered green agro-processing technologies, solar dryers, reducing drying time by 40%. Gratis Foundation has trained 230 artisans to fabricate 300 post-harvest equipment for women smallholder farmers, and retooled the TEMA workshop for 24-hour economy. I'll soon open that workshop. It's great, and it's going to change the dynamics. Now we have apprenticeship to entrepreneurship. To enhance the employability of the youth and address the skill gaps within critical industry, we also want to drive economic growth and foster innovation. Technical and business management skills are provided to mostly unemployed youth eager to learn a vocation. The Ghana Enterprises Agency. If you say Ghana Enterprise Agency, you'll be called by the CEO of GEA. She said it's enterprises because there are many. The GEA supplied startup kits to 6,194 youth to start businesses. What happens is that we don't only train them, we train them and make them entrepreneurs. If we just train them, it will not affect the job market. So we train you after you have acquired the skills, then we will give you the startup kit to enable you start your business and actually become an entrepreneur, as the name of the program connotes. GEA, through strategic partnership with financial institutions, also supplied 916 beneficiaries to access 9.1 million Ghana cedis and disbursed 10.04 million to 432 beneficiaries, 189 males, 243 female, very gender sensitive. We've also disbursed $506,000 US to 1,317 micro and small enterprises under the Rural Enterprises Development Fund to support their businesses. We have businesses that would have otherwise done well, but for lack of funds. So this is what our REP does to ensure that people get funding for their businesses. To expand access to finances for entrepreneurs, the ministry inaugurated the grant committee of the Ghana Economic Transformation Project funded by the World Bank. The committee has screened applications by entrepreneurs pending approval by the Minister for Finance. Made in Ghana. Made in Ghana has come to stay. Made in Ghana is our game changer. Made in Ghana is what we have. We have to prioritize what we produce for the stability of our city. We have to prioritize what we produce for import substitution. We have to be proud of what we produce. We have to wear what we produce, eat what we grow, and that is what is sustainable. And in order to promote locally produced foods and services to boost the economy, enhance local industries, and reduce dependency on imports, we are coming up with an amendment of the Made in Ghana policy in 2026 to make it more attractive. We have initiated the review. Ghana Standard Authority has trained over 300 trading standard inspectors for deployment and certified 957 locally manufactured products. GSA inspected 602 factories for certification and issued 3,533 export and health certificates. GSA inspected 66,000 high-risk goods to ensure that consumer health and safety in the domestic market is guaranteed. Through the intervention of the ministry this year, uniforms and other apparels for state institutions will be sourced locally. I'll get to that. But before that time, let me say that the essence of the trade standard inspectors is to ensure that standards are high. We are about to deploy these trained trade inspectors to plants to make sure that if you are buying 32.5 cement, that is exactly what you get. If you are buying any food product that says no sugar added, that is what you get. If you are buying any product which is 50 kg, exactly what you get. And so they are really going to enhance standards for our country. And Ghana Standard Authority is also up and doing with their inspection of factories to make sure that they come up to speed with what the standards are, international standards are, because made in Ghana will have to be synonymous with quality and high standards. And we are working high to achieve that. Through the intervention of the ministry this year, uniforms and other apparel for state institutions will be sourced locally from our producers. Ghana Prison Service is sewing, still made in Ghana. Private people are sewing, still made in Ghana. The most important thing is that all uniforms must be made in Ghana. We should not enrich other countries at our detriment. We should not give employment to other countries while our teeming youth suffer. And so this year, we are excited that the uniforms will be sold here. It's going to help us maintain the strength of the city, all the money we need to change and export, to import these uniforms will be a thing of the past. Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. It's amazing the number of women we have in the ministry, fortunately led by a woman. And so our objective is to promote gender equity and economic empowerment by integrating women into trade, agribusiness, and industrial activities with a focus on agro-processing. This we have done. It is not an intention, it's something we have already started. So training has been done for women-owned businesses to enable them access export market. The number of exporters we have does not reflect the gender of this country. And so we've made conscious effort to empower women to take advantage of the export market, which is, of course, a bigger and better market. In support of cross-border trade, the ministry sensitized over 2,800 businesses led by women, youth, and persons with disability across Elubu, Takrady, Tamale, Cape Coast, Aflao, Akanu Nuope, and Sunyane, in collaboration with Trademark Africa and the World Bank. GEPA, with the support from ITC She Trades Project, trained more than 150 led women businesses, which is also great. This initiative reflects the government's commitment to women and youth participation in trade, agribusiness, and industry. The affirmative act has been passed, and so now ministries have to make conscious efforts to mainstream women in what they do, and we have already started. My baby at the ministry, the Business Regulatory Reform Program. This program is to improve the quality and transparency of regulatory administration, create a predictable business regulatory environment conducive for private sector development, and make Ghana the most business-friendly country in Africa. What have we achieved so far with the Business Regulatory Reform Program? We've been able to produce a Ghana's Be Ready assessment report that replaced the ease of doing business. The Ghana Be Ready self-assessment is an improvement of the ease of doing business. We have achieved that. We have developed online reform management and progress tracking system, first in the sub-region. We have interactive web portal created for public-private consultation. We have the Business Regulatory Reform Bill being finalized with the Attorney General's office. So the bill is ready. The Attorney General is looking at it. Once he okays it, we are on our way to Cabinet. The Ghana Investment Promotion Center Act is also under review to remove the minimum capital requirements, among others. However, I want to assure Ghanaians that the small retail trading will be the reserve of only Ghanaians. At the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, we engage the private sector, work with them closely to ensure that there is sanity in their space. We've done a lot of these engagements, and I'll start with cement because cement became topical this weekend. I've already been engaging the cement industry, and the latest one was on Monday. The engagement with them was to focus on improving quality and price stability. It is trite learning that where the dollar is right now, prices must be stable. And I am happy and excited to reiterate the point that the prices of cement is not going to go up. And this is a matter of fact. Industry told me. I've also engaged textiles and garments. My engagement with them was on the local production of uniforms, how to bring them, some of them up to speed with international standards, because this year we are high on textiles and garments because it produces a lot of jobs for our teeming youth. I'll get to that point later, but just to let you know that I've been engaging the textile and garment space. I've visited a lot of these garment and textile industry, and firsthand, some of the issues have been addressed, looking at how they can upskill and take advantage of the international market, which we are helping them to secure. sanitary products. I've also engaged the producers of sanitary pads first to encourage them to take advantage of Ghana's free sanitary pads program, and also to put importers and then manufacturers together. As a Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, we want to encourage even importers to buy from manufacturers so that they don't need to import and pay charges and have all the problems they face with. Because our installed capacity in Ghana relative to sanitary pads is good, in more than we need in the country. So I don't see the point in importing sanitary pads here. It doesn't have to be a law. It just has to be a matter of discussion and then agreement. And I think that we've made some headway relative to that one. Automotive, discussion with spare parts dealers with a focus on price reduction has been done. I started way before anybody could say Jack. Immediately I saw the dollar going down, I invited AGI and Guta and immediately asked them to look at their prices. And they told me to hold on a little bit because, you see, this is unprecedented. We don't remember any time in the history of Ghana that the dollar has gone down and has been sustainable for about a year. And so they asked me that we should wait and watch. I assured them that the path that we are going, the dollar is of course going to be stable. So after 4 months, the prices started coming down. And now I can say that most prices have come down. When you check the prices of oil, rice, kokonte that I like, palm nuts, all of these, you see that the price have come down. I know the price of kokonte because I really eat kokonte. And I buy it myself. You usually see me on the market shopping for myself. And so I know that prices have actually come down. Most of the things that we were buying in 2024, now we are buying at a reduced rate. And so when I went to Ofosu-Adjare, I realized that a lot of the prices have come down, even though two products did not, the price of two brands did not reflect the decrease in the exchange rate. Sprinter and then Resting. And I was told that Sprinter is an old brand, and so it's difficult to find. And in respect of that brand, it's just a matter of demand and supply that has affected the pricing. But we had a discussion and they agreed to work on it. I think that the people of Ofosu-Adjare are working well with the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, and I must commend them and encourage them to keep on working with us to make sure that we get stable prices that reflect the gains that we have gained. I keep saying that Excellency John Dramani Mahama has worked well to stabilize the economy. The whole idea and the essence of this is for everybody in Ghana to benefit. Consumers must take a benefit and investors must take a benefit. There shouldn't be any time that one party does that. And so I think that that is well understood and it's reflecting in the kind of prices that we are seeing. Food and beverages, discussion focused on standards to curtail the smuggling of substandard and counterfeit products have also been discussed. There have been several industrial visits. My joy. If I visit this industry and they are up to scratch with what needs to be done, the number of people they are employing, what they can do more, we engage with them to see what the issues are. I go to the extent of making sure that companies' issues that are even personal to them, we resolve it, because you see, if they have a land issue and you resolve it, they get the space to expand. That is what we do. And so we are hands-on with industry and making sure that we are able to help them resolve their matter timeously. The engagement with captains of industry on the 24-hour economy was also done. We worked together with the 24-hour secretariat to apprise industry of some of the things they need to do relative to the 24-hour economy, and that was done in Jubilee House here. We have seen the beautiful picture of 2025 at the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, where industry is doing well, prices are coming down, investors are coming to town, policies are drawn, just to mention a few. Now, what does 2026 have in store for trade, agribusiness, and industry? I can say for a fact that 2026 even looks better. 2026 looks better because government is going to support the private sector to establish 3 big garment factories. And we seek to employ at the long run 27,000 people with these garments factory. And so the outlook is good. Garment factory is one industry that employs a lot of people. The beauty is the fact that you don't have to learn for 3 months, 5 months before you start work. It is that industry that trains you for 4 weeks and you already have a job. And so this is good because of the division of labor and specialization. If your work is just doing collar, we can train you to make a collar within a month. You start sewing, just joining and all of that. And so we hope that that industry will create a lot of jobs. The beauty is the fact that, again, in the garment factory, it employs all categories of people: university graduates, diploma holders, and people who have not even gone to school at all. Because you see, when it comes to sewing, some people are talented. You don't have to go to school to sew. I own a sewing business, and so I understand how people have not been to school and they can sew and owl you. And so this is one area where jobs can be created, whether you have certificate or you don't have certificate. And so for those who have been complaining that we ask for certificate for job, garment industry has come to give you a decent job without a certificate. We will train you on the job. We will fully operationalize the 7 agro-processing plants in the northern, central, Ahafo, Bono East, Northeast, Western North regions in the following value chains: yam, fish, poultry, cashew, nuts, rice, shea butter, and palm kernel oil. The Exim Bank, under the direction of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, will put together 2 cashew factories, one in the Bono East and one in the Bono region. We grow a lot of cashew, and so the closer the factory to the raw material, the better the effective cost of production and less transportation, just to mention a few. So this is also going to happen 2026. 2026 is a busy year for trade, agribusiness, and industry, a successful year for that matter, and we look forward to making sure that the benefits inure to the general public. We're also establishing a 24/7 business registration centers and digital helplines. Even as the 24-hour economy gathers steam, we want to make sure that you can also register 24 hours. You can have helpline within 24 hours, so no matter what time of the day you are working, the helpline is available to help you. We have also drafted the Consumer Protection, Competition and Business Regulatory Reform Bills. These will also be dealt with in 2026 to protect the consumer and also guide competition. We also want to boost export and strengthen Ghana's position in the regional and global value chains. We host the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And so, even as we are able to improve what we do here, we will be able to take advantage of the single biggest market in terms of countries in the world: 1.5 billion people, $3.4 trillion in cash. And so if you are able to do that, we'll take advantage of all of these. We've already indicated that we are interested in commercial contract farming. You know what we've been doing over the years. Industry rely on individual farmers. When the commodity or the produce gets scarce, you will not get it. I've been eating at Kotoko Bar with the CEO of Gratis. We know that if cassava is scarce, the Kotoko operator will buy it at a better price than the industry practitioner. If it happens like that, industry suffers whilst we eat the fufu. So the best part is to enter into commercial contract farming, where the farm is so big that the Kotoko chop bar operator will not be tolerated on that farm, because it is to supply factory A that you have a contract with. And so the ministry is taking steps to do contract commercial farming, assist private practitioners to do that. And we know that will go a long way into solving the raw material challenges that industry has annually. Then agribusiness, value addition and value extension to transform raw materials into finished products for both domestic use and for the export market. Ghana is touted as the net exporter of raw materials. That is no good. We need to add value. Once we are adding value, we are doing import substitution, we are exporting at a good price, and then we are creating jobs in the process. If you just export cassava, you lose on the value chain. And so the agribusiness subsector is here to assist in the value addition so that we don't only add value to our goods for domestic market, for export, and to ensure that our city is stable, because only God knows how much money we need to import the things that we export the raw materials for them to manufacture. They buy it cheaply, they name their price and bring it back in the form of finished produce, finished products. And so as a country, we've made it a point to add value to our raw materials ourselves so that we can keep the dollar, we can create the jobs, and then we can do import substitution. We are developing a 5-year trade sector support program because we have an old one, and so we have started the review to develop a new one. Finally, we are supporting Ghanaian firms to fully leverage opportunities under the African Continental Free Trade Area. I think I mentioned that briefly, that we are the headquarters of Africa Continental Free Trade Area, the biggest single market in the world. And so we are taking advantage of what we host. We're teaching our industries to be export ready and after in area of packaging. In the area of standardization, Ghana Standard Authority is working with countries so that if you export a product from Ghana to another country, that country does not need, because it's one of our biggest selling points. Even as we look for investors out of town, we tell them that don't look at the 33 million people in Ghana. Look at the 1.5 billion. If you station in Ghana where our security, our safety, our location is perfect, you are able to export duty-free, quota-free to any of these African countries. And so we are taking a big advantage of AFTA. My account of the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness, and Industry with the support of my hardworking, able staff. And we say thank you for the support that we have received.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for that thorough and comprehensive briefing, which basically touched on all aspects of the work done by the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. At this juncture, we will delve straight into the questions that media men and women present here may have regarding the presentation made or any issues that relates to the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. So please walk up to the microphone, identify yourself as is the usual rubric, and then ask your question.
My name is Wisdom Hedejome. I work with TVXYZ. So in the KPIs that the President gave to the ambassadors and the high commissioners, they were supposed to increase trade by a certain percentage. We want to know what the ministry is doing to ensure that those metrics are met, and those that do not meet it, what sort of sanctions are there for them. Right. And then you talked about visiting Abosoka and then the cement issue. Is it only limited to these ones? Because if you look at the overall economic micro indicators and then the price stability vis-a-vis the standard of living, just want to have a clarity on that. And then finally, regarding agribusiness, you talked about establishing some businesses in some parts of the country. If you go to Volta region, for example, we have a vast land for coconut production. Today, if you want Kubeangwa, you not get. If you want Ajungo, you not get. What is the ministry doing in that regard?
Thank you for that investment pitch for the Volta region. I'm sure they would appreciate it. Yes, can we? So let's take a couple of them and then you answer them. Yeah.
My name is Abdul Hanan Adam, and I work with the EIB network. Minister, your predecessor, before they exited office, introduced the Ghana Standard Authority regulation, that is the LI, to regulate cement pricing in the country. You mentioned in your presentation that there's some sort of brouhaha surrounding it, and it will interest you to know that just this morning, my landlord sent me a text message saying that he wants to increase rent by 10%. and he included the cement pricing in terms of doing renovations and all that, including district assembly levies that they collect. I want to find out if you would want to revisit that particular LI so that we have some sort of regulation in that industry, because people are complaining that if the regulation is not there, these manufacturers and businesses will take advantage of Ghanaians. My second question has to do with the 24-hour economy, which your main opponents, that is the opposition New Patriotic Party, say that it is a scam. They say that the government hoodwink Ghanaians into believing that it is going to create 3-shift jobs in the country. Your ministry being the central in the implementation of this policy, how far are you with regards to this? How many factories or how many establishments should we expect from you by close of 2026 and the outlook for 2027? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we'll take 2 more questions from Courage and then Akos, and then we'll come back for a final round. Because of the constraints of time, we urge you to summarize the questions.
Komla Klucha, I work at TV3. In 2024, your predecessor then, Katie Harmony, were still an MP, then in Parliament, told the House that they had leased the Commander Sugar Factory to West African Agro Limited, an Indian-based company, for a renewable term of 15 to 20 years. Now he went on to say that $50,000 each month was supposed to be paid to Watco. How much has the government paid the Indian firm Watco as of now? Then 2, you just indicated that small retail business will be a preserve of the Ghanaian. This is according to you. A short while ago you said it. Now if you go to Circle and another parts of the country, we have seen an influx of Chinese who are selling cars, not the Zonda and then the other people. What the carport guys of the country do, these Chinese guys are on TikTok, on social media, advertising the sale of these cars. That's a preserve of the Ghanaian. Right. What is the position of your government on this issue about retail, specifically to the issue of the sale of cars?
All right, thank you very much, Komla. So Akos will have the last word in this round, after which we'll come back for a final one.
Ofosu-Adjare, I work with CTFM. I know that you work hand in hand with the Transport Ministry, and the NDC manifesto committed to the establishing and operationalization of a national shipping line. What stage is this initiative currently? What is the policy design? In short, when are we expected to see?
I would have thought that is a question reserved for the Minister for Transport. It is purely a transport function.
That was why I said I know you work hand in hand with the Transport Ministry.
Even if that were the case,
she can't give an answer to
No, she
to
cannot.
that.
I'm afraid I would have to do that.
Okay, so the second question
it
is,
falls under another ministry.
what specific enforcement actions has your ministry taken in the past year to ensure the Made in Ghana policy or campaign is not just a slogan? Because we've seen a number of you let me leave it as such, but what is the enforcement over there? And then to add to the question Komla asked about retail, in fact, Guta data from the Ghana Union of Traders Association states that 70% of the trading retail market had been occupied by the foreigners. 70% of the market
the retail
has been taken control over by the foreigners, and 30% to Ghanaians. So the question Komla asked, I want to find out from you if you admit or you agree with Guta's data. If you do, is this not a clear admission that your ministry has failed to enforce the GIPC Act Section 27, reserving the retail space for Ghanaians? And if you do not agree, who is responsible?
All right, thank you very much. So the minister would take these questions, after which we'll come back to take a second round.
Thank you very much. I'll start with the ambassador's KPI. Yes, now Ghana is into economic diplomacy. And so all ambassadors have been entreated to make investment a priority. Before they left, I had the opportunity to address all the ambassadors, telling them of areas of interest in Ghana, the opportunities available in Ghana where they can sell Ghana, the selling points and all of that was done in a very big session. Thereafter, Ghana has trade attaches in some of the missions, and we get reports and we get inquiries. So we're working closely with all the ambassadors who are seeking inquiries. They direct investors to come to our space, and so we are working very closely to ensure that they are able to honor this KPI. And then agribusiness in the Volta region. Yes, recently the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, as I indicated, gave a lot of coconut seedlings to farmers, and it includes farmers in the Volta region. So I'm sure very soon you'll get Kubenwa that you've been looking for. Yes, and so the LI on cement is there and it's in force. It is on the power of the LI that I met the cement manufacturers and told them exactly what the law says. I don't need to belabor the point. The best part is the fact that we all agreed that we could not increase cement price, and that's what it is. But if you want me to delve a little deeper, you need to state your ex-factory price at the beginning of every month, latest by 8th of the month. And so long as nothing of that sort had been done, nobody could change the price. And so the law is there, we enforce it. It will be recalled that in 2024, 42.5 strength of cement was sold at 117. Now it's at 107. And 32.5 was sold at 105. Now you can get between 80 and 85. And so we have worked with them using the LI to ensure that prices are stable. And so this, I can say the ministry has been working with them to achieve that. 24-hour economy. 24-hour economy has a secretariat and it's multi-sectorial. The 24-hour economy works with all the ministries to ensure that they are able to execute their mandate. I'm happy to tell you that this year, the Minister for Finance has allocated money for the implementation of the 24-hour economy. The Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, we are doing our part by making sure that industry is able to take advantage of that policy. That's why we are doing the financing, we are helping them with raw materials, because these are the things they need to take advantage of the 24-hour economy. So I'm sure at the end of this year, we'll see the benefits of the 24-hour economy. The garment factory we are doing is going to run 24-hour. The factories that I mentioned, everything is done with 24-hour economy at the back of our mind. One job, 3 shifts, 3 people is very much on course, and we hope to see the benefit working well with the 24-hour economy secretariat. Then WATCO. I can say that since I became Ghana's Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, WATCO has not been paid a penny. They have not been paid any amount. I think that it was an intention that was not materialized after the election, because you recall that this was done at the tail end of the year 2024, and when we came to office, we did not make it materialize because it wasn't efficient, it wasn't sustainable. 50,000 for doing what? Yeah, so that's what we have. And I can say for sure, without any scientific basis, that foreigners are not responsible for 70% of our retail market. I don't need rocket science. I just need to go to the market and scan around and see how many retail outlets are manned by foreigners. 70%? I don't know where that statistics is coming from, and I don't think that it is correct. I would not deny the fact that there may be a few people in the retail trade, but this is what happens. Even those people in the retail trade who are foreigners are being fronted by Ghanaians. If you enter the shop right now, you see a Ghanaian sitting down. What do you have to say that you are closing that shop because it doesn't belong to a Ghanaian, whereas it's being manned by a Ghanaian? And if you go to the Registrar General, the name on that registration is a Ghanaian name. So, I mean, I don't know. But what I can say for sure is that if Ghanaians don't want foreigners in the space, we can fish them out and sack them. But so long as we keep fronting for them, registering for them, there is nothing anybody can do, because you'll be sued. Can you imagine that I come to your shop and I say that the shop doesn't belong to you? The name of the game is evidence. You go to the Registrar General and pull document which says that it belongs to one Ofosu-Adjare. Which black Ofosu-Adjare does not come from Ghana? And so you see, at one time we don't behave well, at the other time we shift blame to authorities. There is no way anybody can sack any business from the market so long as it bears Ghanaian name and is being manned by a Ghanaian. Don't front for them, let them come with their red face on the retail market and we'll do the needful. And so I will say that we have done our part. I go to the market. It's not only the Ofosu-Adjare market because it's recent. I go to Techiman market. I was at Bodi market, interestingly, last weekend when I had the opportunity to commiserate with my deputy. I went to their market. I'm on market. I even go to market myself. KJTR market I do, because I've lived in Kumasi and there are certain things that I must of necessity buy from Kumasi. That's where I know where to get the thing. Like the kokonte from Techima market. Nobody buys for me. I know where I get my kokonte from. Every time when I go to the constituency and I'm coming, I know the lady. She'll see my face and start packing it for me. And I don't want to mention my friends who also take it. You are behind the camera. Because when I'm coming, you know, they eat from my house. And so I say, please, when you are coming, bring the kokonte. I do it, they also eat it. I buy it myself, so I'm not somebody who sends people to the market. You see me on Saturday doing the shopping myself, because you see, if your soup will be nice, it starts from the market. So I buy the things myself so that I'm sure my soup is nice. So I know all these markets and I buy from them, you know. So I'm not somebody who sits and I'm told. I go there myself and I know that this market is being manned by Ghanaians, among other things, and then we have to make sure that we don't front for them. So that will be that one. And the made in Ghana, yeah. The lady who asked the question, please, where's the lady who asked the made in Ghana? Ako, let me see what you are wearing. Good. So, you've done well, Akosia. Made in Ghana, I keep on saying we should wear what we make, eat what we grow. Look at Akosia. Very beautiful, elegant, made in Ghana. So we serve as role models for people to wear what we make. I don't think that anybody can be arrested for not patronizing made in Ghana. But it's a pride thing. And so the review of the made in Ghana policy will be much more interesting. It will encourage more people to eat what we grow, wear what we manufacture, and things like that. I'm also sure that the garment industry that are coming up will also come with a Ghanaian brand where it will be a pride thing to wear these things. You see, our children wear some brands because there is pride in it. If we put pride in what we also manufacture here, I think it will go a long way into ensuring that we patronize made in Ghana and eat made in Ghana. It's even healthy. We have a lot of these rice without any additives. Without any additives, some are not even polished. And so we will continue to encourage ourselves to patronize and eat what we have. And so 24 small scale Chinese. I think I've answered all the questions for now. Thank you.
So we will expeditiously take remaining questions, 3 or 4 of them, and then the minister would answer them, and we will call it a day. So, Odame, please approach the microphone. I've done the introduction for you. So,
my name is Shadrach Odami-Adjare, Metro TV Ghana, and Adjare.
Oh, okay, so
and the Kokonte lover too. So evidently, like you mentioned, Kokonte and other staff have gone down, and every Ghanaian can feel it. But one thing we continue to battle with is transport fares. And these drivers you speak to will tell you the spare parts dealers only tell us on TV and on paper that the spare parts have been reduced. Yet you go and the prices are the same. Are we going to get to a place where, just like we print out transport fares, we are going to see working with your outfit, we know that, okay, full engine should be between 1 cedi to 2 cedi, so that we can also hold our spare parts dealers accountable.
You're talking of price controls.
Yes. Secondly, we have also spoken about efforts to move the local market international, but we still see our local manufacturers grappling for access and finding their spot. In the coming days, even though we've spoken about packaging and value extension, what are the strategies put in place? What avenues are we looking at to make sure our local manufacturers are able to compete internationally? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Adami de Kokunti Lava. Kester.
My name is Kester Crunchy. I write for the Daily Graphic. My first question is on the trading standard officers of the Ghana Standards Authority. I think somewhere last year, the minister inaugurated about 300 of them. And up to now, I don't think I've seen them working. So I wanted to know what is the challenge in rolling them out. I know that there will be financial reasons and all of that, but I want to know what the challenges are. The second one is factories invading residential areas and causing fires. I don't know if it has come to the attention of the ministry, but the last time I checked with the Factories Inspectorate Directorate, they said they didn't even have an office at the moment. They were being sacked for the Marine Drive project. Directorate, yeah. They said they didn't even have an office, and they were being chased out of the small space they occupied near the beach for the Marine Drive project. And so they were handicapped. I couldn't fault them. So between that time and now, these factories are increasing. If you go to Latebia Koshi, now the Chinese erect their signs. It's no more written in Ghanaian English again. They now have their signs there. And in September last year, there was a huge fire in Latebia Koshi. All the products in that particular building were petrochemical products. So you see all the chaluate and the things we sell in Mokola and the rest of the retail market is controlled by them. And there are evidence to that. So I want to know what pragmatic steps we are going to take. With the 300 inspectors, we have one are working to ensure that these things are done right. My last question, if you would, I wanted to know if we've improved on the quality of cement.
Okay, all right.
And if there's evidence to show that, because I know the Ghana Standards Authority do periodic tests. And in the past, they've come out to say that they were not up to standard, or some inferior products were being used. If we can see the new testing from the Ghana Standards Authority to know that really we are consuming the right product. Thank you.
You seem to be well versed in matters relating to standards and the work of the Ghana Standards Authority. So, Mr. Setiye of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation will conclude this session for us.
Thank you very much for introducing me. I'm very happy that my hometown, Ejumaku Bisianse, is going to have a maize mini processing plant. During the presentation, I know that the government is targeting NTEs, that's non-traditional exports of 10 billion within a specific time frame. Last year, from the projections, Ghana earned $2.54 billion. What are the figures for the last 6 months of last year and the rate at which we are moving? Is it likely that we will achieve the 10 billion ahead of the stipulated time?
All right. Thank you very much.
And I may add maybe the last one.
All right.
How many of the one district, one factories that were started from the scratch are still working?
Thank you very much. So the minister would answer these questions presently.
Thank you very much. I will start with Ofosu-Adjare. And again, this is not hearsay. This is Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjare, Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. I am saying it myself because I've been there myself. I have entered the shops myself and I have asked for the prices myself. And the beauty is the fact that I went with people who have been patronized Abosokan. Price of engine oil, it used to be 600 cedis in 2024. Now it's sold at 350 cedis. And I did the asking myself. And I got the confirmation from my team. Car batteries, I can see a dealer of car battery here in this room. Esther, Gifty. The cost of a brand of battery was sold as 1,007 in 2024. Now it's 1,200. Another brand sold at 1,200 is now 750. Prices have come down. I'll even move from Abosokan and go to the ordinary market. And this can be verified. Look at the price of, for example, Kokonte. Yes, I have Kokonte. Number one on my list. Kokonte, that was sold at 1,200 a bag. It's now selling at 900 cedis. From 1,002 to 900, good savings for me and all the lovers. And Ajare, you see. Yam Pona, that was sold at 35 cedis. It's now sold at 30 cedis. Those of you that were receiving food stuff from me, you realize that in 2024, thereabout, I stopped because it was so expensive. But now I've started. The prices are better. If you look at palm fruits, that was sold at 40 cedis, now sells at 25 cedis. And these are very viable facts. Just go to the market and ask. You don't even need any scientists to do this for you. Ask them how they were selling it in 2024 if you don't even shop ordinarily, and ask them how they are selling it now. The prices have changed. Most, I will say, most of these prices have gone down, even if not 100%, a lot. And it's good enough. I mean, it's impactful enough. When prices of one or two items reduces, then you don't really say something meaningful has happened. But if the bulk of the things have reduced, cost of sardine, cost of key soap that was sold at 30 cedis now sells at 23 cedis. Charcoal, a sack of charcoal that was sold at 140 cedis now sells at 100 cedis. 40 cedis off. So I must say that prices have actually reduced to reflect the gains of the economy. And so I think that if we say prices have not reduced at all, it will be a figment of somebody's own imagination, because the reality is that most of the prices have come down. Go to Abosokan. I indicated earlier, when I did my checks, in fact, only two, Resting and Sprinter, and I've been consistent. If you go to the market right now, they'll tell you, some of the engines, the costs have reduced by 10,000 cedis. Some of them. And so you will see that prices are generally good, but the issue of demand and supply and scarcity has affected two brands. And even those ones, they promised to do something about it. And I said I was going back to the market in March. I'm not sending anybody. I'm going there in March. And also, usually before I do anything, I would have done the preparation ready to take off before I announce it. We can't do price control because, you see, price control comes with its own negative effect. It gives way to hoarding and prices will rather escalate. But I want to do some kind of transparency where we have an app. Every shop will advertise their price. And then you decide where to buy from. So if we have the same piece of paper and I'm selling mine at 1,000 cedis and you are doing yours at 200 cedis, then the buyer will decide whether he or she is a Father Christmas to give me 800 more, or is a prudent buyer and will buy from you. And so we will not control prices, but we'll make prices available for people to choose from. And so we are working on that one now. Technology is up. Everybody has a phone, and this can do that. And so that would be that for Abosokan. But please, if you go to Abosokan right now, prices have come down, and it's not Abosokan market alone. If you go to KJTR market, now the beauty is social media. Somebody will just pick a bag of rice and say that, I used to buy this at 150, now it's 70 cedis. We all see it. And then we all buy it. So if a price of just one item in one big market has not changed to reflect the reality, I think it's not a good enough reason for us to say that prices have not reduced. So I think that if you go to Abosokan, and the issue of lorry fare and things, I just heard the transport minister dealing with it. So I will leave it at that. And then the TSI, you know, nobody actually asked me to train TSIs. I did it with my team. What does that mean? It means I need them. I'm training them to fill a void in the system. And so they have been trained. But this is a place where you go through rules, you go through processes, you go through procedures. The first point is to get money to train them. They were trained at a cost. That has been done. Now the next is to deploy them. And this year, I indicated earlier that it's part of our plan to deploy these people to help the Ghana Standard Authority maintain standards and do what is needful. And then the factory inspectorate. Yes, they help industry. Interestingly, they belong to the Ministry of Employment. And so now that I know they have a challenge, I will discuss with the Minister for Employment and see how we can all help for them to do their work. And so you realize that where factories are situated and all of that falls under their purview. And so we draw their kind attention to the fact that industries are creeping within residential areas, and we know that that is not safe, especially that we've had some accidents. Quality of cement, I can say that the quality of cement has improved, and the latest report will be ready in February. We had the meeting on Monday, and I have charged the Director General for Ghana Standard Authority to do the latest analysis, and I have promised that any company that falls foul will be named and shamed and punished. And so, by end of February, I will come to the general public with what the analysis are, and will be very quick to name, shame, and punish, because we must get value for money. And it is our mandate to ensure that they do standard cement for our consumption. Okay, yes. So I'll fill in your question. You were asking whether we'll be able to get NTEs 10 billion by 2030. So last year was 2.54. We hope that with the robust measures that we are doing, helping existing companies to upskill, inviting more companies into the system, government supporting companies for exports, I think this will go a long way to helping us achieve this. Again, we are up with our harmonization, and we know that if the harmonization is done, it's going to improve exports. We're also helping people to be export ready. You see that GEA is training more women, Ghana Export Promotion is training more women, because there are a lot of women enterprises that need a little push to be export ready. And we have grouped all of them, and we are working towards it. So even though this is ambitious, I am certain that we should be able to meet this on time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so there's sufficient evidence to back the minister's presentation, unlike others who speak based on briefings. She has actually been there to, as it were, do their assessment herself. And she has indicated that Kokonte is her favorite. Mine is Gary Sokins. So I also know for a fact that the price of a bag of Gary has come down significantly. All right, so on that note, I thank you all for attending upon us, and I thank the minister sincerely for giving us one of the most thorough and comprehensive briefings about the performance of her sector. I do hope that when we extend an invitation to her again, she will be here to provide further updates on what her ministry has been doing. And to the media men and women present, I thank you as usual for showing up. See you again next week. Thank you very much.
You're still watching Channel 1 Television. I am Samuel Akom, and just gone by as the Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry briefing Ghanaians on what has been happening in her sector. But I have with me in studio my colleague Ni Latte for further engagement on that particular briefing. So for you, good afternoon first of all.
Good afternoon, Samuel.
For you, what were the key highlights? Because she first of all did a retrospection of 2025 and the outlook for 2026. So for you, what were the key highlights?
Very well, Sammy, and thank you for having me this afternoon. So like you rightly indicated, the minister responsible for trade, agribusiness and industry, that's Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjare, was just giving us highlights of some of the major events that happened in her space and what the policy direction is going to be like some few days into, 2026. So the minister was very clear. I know her that she's a minister of few words, but today she has been, comprehensive.
Very thorough.
Yeah, and thorough with exactly what she has been explaining to Ghana. So for example, she was talking about policy direction for last year, investor support and also financing. And key amongst them was, issues relating to import and export, as far as some policies that they did. But she also mentioned that there were a lot of industrial visits going around the country, going to other parts of the world to learn from best practices for us to know what we can also do here in the country. But the key highlight for me, and she was very, blunt with it, most prices have come down. And this she said without equivocation, that she's been on the market, she's been to the market, she's interacted with some of the traders, and for her, any other item you see price still going up or relatively the same.
So that was where she made reference to the coconut price.
Exactly, because she's a lover of commodities in the market. So she's saying that if prices are high, it means that it's an issue that has to do with, demand and supply or even scarcity. And so she made specific references to some of the things that really have, high prices, even though the dollar has come down. And she spoke about the engagement she's had with GUTA and other trader associations to ensure that the ordinary Ghanaian is not ripped off. So that's one of the things that the minister responsible for trade also indicated. One other thing she also mentioned was a national policy with regards to agribusiness. And for us here at Channel 1 Television and 97.3 City FM, we are very big when it comes to
we'll be going big on that.
Yeah, so that's something that also caught my attention. I know that she's been engaging some of the, players in the value chain to look at value addition, processing, and all those things within the agri value chain.
On that score, for you have been following this development, right? If, as a country, we take this particular development serious, what can it do for us? Because we understand even when it comes to rice importation, we spend a lot of money to import rice and all. So what benefit will that particular policy have?
So you can also link it to this whole made in Ghana consumption. If you are able to drum home the demand, we are able to send a message down the line that, well, if we consume what we produce, it will go a long way to help the economy. And you have tasted local rice before, and you know how tasty it is. Why do we spend a lot of money to, bring in foreign rice for us to consume? And even look at the supply chain disruptions and some of the challenges that we face when it comes to some of these things. So the point is, let us develop the national consumables. Let people know that this is the way to go. And you saw how she was praising Akosua for, wearing an African print, made in Ghana. Yeah. And so for me, I think we should just not develop the taste for foreign goods.
Okay, so
and that's it.
Away from the commodities, let's go to cement. I mean, for those watching who are interested in the cement industry and all, what have been some of the concerns they've been raising? Because she did mention that they will be sending out some personnel to check the quality of cement. Has that been an issue that has been
exactly, because when it comes to the trade with regards to cement, it's two things: the pricing and the quality. If your price is high, people will not patronize. If the quality is poor, it will not be used for construction. And so that's why the journalist was bent on the issue of quality, because price, we know, it has come down. Even this morning on the 7 a.m. bulletin, I did a story regarding how, prices of cement have come down, and then consumption is really high there. People are, taking advantage of it, those in the early stages of construction and all that. And I know that the former Minister of Trade during the former government also set up a committee to ensure that we address some of these things. But the minister is saying that, I think somewhere in March, there's going to, February, she said, another report from the Ghana Standards Authority to ensure that the, people who produce cement meet the right benchmarks. And that was where she said that people who fall short of the requirements are going to be named, they are going to be shamed, and also they are going to be penalized. And so it means that you'll be leaving the cement manufacturer. And even with the cement thing, there's also this leg to it. A lot of people are of the view that the cement that comes from outside Ghana are way cheaper and has a lot more of quality. Myself, I did a report, I think somewhere 4 months ago, speaking to some of the dealers, and you go and they are all in for the foreign cement.
So it's affecting the locally
which is one
ones.
area that is also affecting us when it comes to trade and all that. And so it's like we are doing ourselves more harm than good as a country, developing the taste for foreign products, even when governments are bent on instituting policies and also ensuring that there are protocols to adhere to when it comes to production, so that local businesses can also stay in business, so that we get the revenue
You made a very important point, that it is also up to, after we put up the policy, ensuring that it works. I'm not sure this will be the first time we are going to implement some policies of those sort. So for you, what should be the direction in terms of ensuring that these policies are made to work?
It's all about enforcement. That is why we have laws. And so if you are poor with implementation, then it comes to naught. So somebody will say that, well, Ghana, we are good at making laws, but we keep them on the shelves, no enforcement, nothing. When the issues arise, so the law is there. And so for me, it's more about policy direction and implementation. If you are able to implement the laws we set for ourselves, we are able to enforce them and ensure that there is everyday, assessment. You realize that some of these things are for our own good. We are going to implement them. But quickly, Sammy, before we go, let me just give you what the minister intends to do in 2026.
Right, the outlook.
Yes. One of the first things that the minister said was something I relate to. So, for example, he praised the local government industry, although it is not at its highest production. So what the minister is saying she's going to do is that this year alone, we are going to establish 3 garment factories. And it's not just about the establishment. When these factories are established, they are going to create 27,000 jobs.
So it means they are going to be strategically positioned across the
country. And this is inspiration they are taking from somewhere in Benin. Because I remember the minister going to Benin to assess some of the things that they are doing there. Through some partnership, I think Arise IIP. And if you go there, it's an industrial enclave, a lot of things going, which is why the minister said that uniforms of security personnel are now going to be produced locally. And so some of these things, we want to wish the government well, to be able to do them. Then we see how best we can also turn the fortunes of our economy and country around. So people are going to be employed, 27,000 people, 4 weeks of training.
That sounds good to reduce unemployment.
Unemployment in the country. And one of the threats to the economy this year is unemployment, at least from the World Bank. So let's also talk about the pricing. People are calling on government to do some form of price control. The minister has ruled that out. She says, no, it's just going to lead to hoarding and also other forms of price discrimination. And so we can also talk about some of the things that are doing agro-processing and also financing from Exim Bank, GEPA, and what have you. 24-hour business registration, and also one major thing that the minister said, fantastic, consumer protection, business competition bill, fantastic. How do we keep businesses in check? How do we ensure that customers also get value for money? Remember when this whole issue of DSTV pricing came up? Cat International, heavy. Let's get the bill. Let's see what. So we just want to see how the minister will, implement all of these things that she said. We want to wish her well, because she's one of my favorite ministers. Not just because I'm a business journalist, because if we have our trade and industry as well as agribusiness on point, we can turn the fortunes of the economy. And so let's see how the minister implements all of these things. But The only thing I'm leaving you with
Okay.
is an advice to business. You remember, the minister
Yeah.
said that 170 million cedis in loans given to small businesses, they are not repaid. And so if you're a business...
So they go for the loan,
They go
but
for the
they
loan,
don't
the
repay.
legacy loan, they don't repay.
So it
And this
affects
is-
other people who genuinely need those
Exactly.
loans.
And so if you are a business who has gone for a loan from the Ministry of Trade and Industry as well as Agribusiness, just make sure that you repay so that other businesses can also enjoy this form of financial support.
Thank you so much. That was Ni Latte, my colleague in the newsroom, breaking down the issues to our understanding. And so keep watching Channel 1 Television. I am Samuel Akom, and remember, telling your story and empowering change.
Welcome to the Point of